The clink of crystal glasses shattered the air like brittle bones breaking under the weight of unspoken truths. Alex Rivera's fingers tightened around the stem of a champagne flute, his reflection in the polished silver tray mocking him, a ghost in his own family celebration. As the bride's laughter rang out across the ballroom, he wondered if tonight's toast would finally drown the lie that had defined his life, or if a single stolen glance would ignite the courage he'd buried deeper than his heart dared to dig. Sweat beaded on Alex's forehead despite the crisp autumn chill seeping through the Fairmont's grand windows overlooking San Francisco's twinkling skyline. He was 25, built like a runner from years dodging shadows in the family's sprawling vineyard estate in Napa Valley. But tonight, in this tuxedo that itched like regret, he felt every inch the outsider. The Rivera family, his family, though they'd never claimed him fully, had built an empire on those sun-kissed vines, bottling secrets as deftly as they did Cabernet Sauvignon. Elena, the golden child, was marrying Marcus Hale, heir to a tech fortune that would seal their legacy in silicon and soil. And Alex? He served the tables, invisible hands keeping the facade flawless. He weaved through the crowd, the scent of tuberose and aged oak heavy in the air. "Champagne, sir." His voice was steady, trained by years of biting back words. The man in the pinstripe suit, Uncle Raoul, who had once whispered promises of inheritance before the family whispers turned to silence, barely glanced up. "Keep it coming, kid." Kid. At 25, Alex was still the kid, the bastard son of a fleeting affair his father, Victor Rivera, had buried like a bad vintage. Born from Victor's indiscretion with a Mexican immigrant housekeeper, Maria, Alex had been raised in the shadows of the estate's guest house, fed scraps of affection and education, but never the name that was his birthright. Maria had died when he was 10, her last words a plea for him to find your light. Mijo. He'd clung to that, pouring his soul into books smuggled from the main house library, dreaming of a life beyond the vines. But dreams curdled when, at 18, he'd come out to Victor in a tear-streaked confession after a fumbling kiss with a vineyard hand named Javier. Victor's response? A cold ledger entry. Tuition to a community college in Oakland, far enough to forget, close enough to summon for labor. Your family, Victor had said, but not the face we show the world. Alex had learned to serve, to smile, to hide the ache that twisted like barbed wire in his chest. Tonight, the ballroom pulsed with 200 guests, old money from the valley, tech bros from the city, politicians toasting to progressive facades while ignoring the fractures beneath. Alex balanced his tray past the dessert station, where chocolate-dipped strawberries glistened like forbidden fruit. That's when he saw him. The best man, leaning against a marble pillar, his laugh cutting through the murmur like a clear bell. Theo Langford, Marcus's college roommate, all sharp jawline and easy grace, with tousled blonde hair that caught the chandelier light and eyes like storm-tossed Pacific waves, blue-gray, pulling you under. Theo was 30, a human rights lawyer from Seattle, his suit hugging a frame honed by weekend hikes in the Olympics. Alex's breath hitched. He'd overheard Elena gushing about him earlier. Theo's the one who fights for the forgotten. Wish our family had a bit of that fire. Theo turned, their eyes locking across the sea of silk and satin. Alex's tray wobbled, a flute tipping precariously. Theo's smile was slow, knowing, as if he'd seen the map of Alex's hidden world in that split second. Need a hand? Theo's voice was low, laced with a Pacific Northwest drawl that wrapped around Alex like fog. Up close, he smelled of cedar and sea salt, a contrast to the cloying perfumes around them. I'm good, Alex managed, his cheeks burning under the scrutiny. But Theo didn't look away, his gaze tracing the line of Alex's jaw, the subtle tension in his shoulders. You don't look good. You look like you're carrying the whole damn party on that tray. A beat, then softer. I'm Theo. Alex. The name slipped out, simple, unadorned. For the first time that night, it felt like enough. Elena appeared then, a vision in her gown, diamonds winking at her throat like stars jealous of her glow. She was 23, all curves and confidence, the daughter Victor had with his wife, Isabella, the woman who turned a blind eye to the affair for the sake of the empire. Alex, there you are. Table 6 needs refills. Chop chop. Her tone was light, sisterly even, but it landed like a dismissal. She didn't know. How could she? Victor had sworn them all to silence, painting Alex, as the loyal estate manager's son, a convenient fiction. Theo's brow furrowed, but Alex forced a nod, melting back into the throng. As he poured for the elderly aunties gossiping about Napa's latest scandals, his mind replayed Theo's touch, brief, electric, when their fingers brushed passing the fallen flute. It was nothing, everything. In a family that prized bloodlines over beating hearts, Alex had long ago locked away his desires, fearing they'd be the final crack in the facade. But Theo's eyes promised questions, not judgments. The ceremony had been a blur earlier. Vows exchanged under a floral arch shipped from the estate's greenhouses, Elena's voice trembling with joy as she promised forever to Marcus. Alex had stood at the back, polishing silverware, his heart a hollow echo. Now, as the band struck up a sultry jazz number, at last, of all ironies, guests swirled onto the dance floor. Victor clapped Marcus on the back, his laugh booming, Isabella beaming beside him, her pearls a shield against the past. Alex retreated to the service corridor, the hum of the kitchen a temporary sanctuary. He leaned against the cool tile, unbuttoning his collar when the door swung open. Theo, tie loosened, slipped in like he'd been summoned. Hiding from the fun? No accusation, just curiosity. Part of the job. Alex's voice cracked, betraying him. Theo stepped closer, the space between them shrinking to breaths. You don't strike me as the serving type. More like the kind who deserves the toast. His hand grazed Alex's arm, deliberate now, sending sparks up his spine. In that fluorescent-lit limbo, with the distant strains of Etta James weaving through the walls, Theo leaned in. Their lips met, soft, tentative, then urgent, a dam breaking after years of drought. Alex tasted salt and sweetness, Theo's fingers threading through his hair, pulling him closer. It was reckless, raw, the kind of kiss that rewrote silences. They broke apart, gasping, foreheads pressed together. I've wanted that since I saw you across the room, Theo murmured, his thumb tracing Alex's lower lip. Tell me I'm not crazy. You're not. Alex's voice was a whisper, laced with fear and fire. But this, my family. Theo's eyes darkened with understanding. Family's complicated. Mine disowned me when I came out at 20. Said I was choosing politics over blood. But blood doesn't get to define you. He pulled back slightly, searching Alex's face. What's your story, Alex? The words hovered, heavy as the tray he'd abandoned. Before he could summon them, a crash echoed from the ballroom, glass shattering, voices rising. Elena's cry cut through. Alex, get in here. Theo squeezed his hand. Go. But this isn't over. Alex straightened his jacket, heart pounding a war drum, and plunged back into the fray. The ballroom had frozen in tableau, a spilled tray of hors d'oeuvres at Victor's feet, crimson beet caviar staining the carpet like blood. But it was an accident. Isabella's face was thunder, her finger jabbing toward the service door where a guest, tipsy cousin Luis, had just emerged, slurring about that Rivera boy who looks just like young Victor. Whispers rippled, eyes darting to Alex as he knelt to clean, his knees protesting on the unforgiving floor. Clumsy fool, Victor hissed, low enough for only Alex to hear. Fix it, now. But Elena, mid-reception glow, knelt beside him, her gown pooling like spilled moonlight. Papa, stop. Her voice was steel wrapped in silk, the authority of the heir apparent. Guests hushed, sensing the shift. Marcus hovered protectively, but Elena waved him off, her gaze locked on Alex. He's not clumsy. He's family. Victor's face paled, a vein throbbing at his temple. Elena, enough. He's staff. No. She stood, pulling Alex up with her, his hand engulfed in hers, small, fierce. The room spun, chandeliers blurring into halos. He's my brother. Our brother. The real firstborn son you hid because Mama couldn't bear the truth of your affair. Gasps cascaded like dominoes. Isabella clutched her pearls, her composure fracturing into shards. How dare you? I dare because I love him. Elena shot back, tears carving tracks through her makeup. I found the letters in the attic last year, Mama. Maria's pleas, the birth certificate you burned. Alex has slaved for this family. Serve us like we deserved it, while you pretended he was nothing. But he's the heart of us, the one who tended the vines when you were too busy building walls. Alex's world tilted. Elena knew. The secret she guarded, waiting for this moment, a wedding gift wrapped in reckoning. Theo watched from the pillar, his expression a mix of pride and pain, as if he saw his own ghosts in the unraveling. Victor staggered, clutching the table. It was for the family. For your shame, Elena countered, her voice echoing off the gilded walls. You cast him out for being born wrong, then for loving wrong. I heard the fight when he told you about Javier. You called him a disgrace, but he's the only one with grace here. The room erupted, murmurs swelling to a roar, aunts fainting into Uncle's arms. Marcus pulling Elena close as flashes from hired photographers capture the chaos. Alex stood frozen, Elena's hand anchoring him, but his eyes sought Theo's across the divide. In that gaze, a promise survival together. As security herded the crowd toward the exits, Victor cornered Alex in the alcove, his breath ragged. You think this changes anything? You're still the mistake. Alex met his father's eyes, the same hazel stare mocking him from the mirror each morning. No, Papa, I'm the truth, and tonight I'm free. He walked away, the weight of the tray replaced by the lightness of fracture. Theo met him at the service door, their fingers intertwining like vines reclaiming stone. Proud of you, Theo whispered, pulling him into the night air, where San Francisco's fog swallowed the Fairmont's lights. They stumbled into a cab, the city blurring past, Coit Tower's beacon, the painted ladies' gingerbread facades, heading to Theo's hotel in the Castro, the heart of the city that had birthed revolutions in love. In the dim room, overlooking Castro Street's rainbow crosswalked vibrancy, they shed tuxedos and pretenses. Theo's hands mapped Alex's skin, tracing scars from vineyard thorns and hidden heartbreaks. You're beautiful, Theo breathed, as Alex arched beneath him, their bodies a tangle of need and narrative. It was more than release, it was reclamation. Alex whispered stories into Theo's ear, Maria's lullabies, Javier's fleeting touch, the loneliness of serving suppers to siblings who never knew. Theo shared his own, the Seattle winters where his parents' rejection froze warmer than their love ever had, the courtroom battles for queer youth that kept him fighting. Dawn crept in, painting their limbs in rose gold, and Alex realized this was the romance he'd denied himself. Fierce, flawed, alive. But freedom's dawn brought reckonings. Elena texted at sunrise, family meeting at the estate. Culme, we rebuild or we break. Marcus added, she's right. You're in this with us now. Alex dressed in Theo's borrowed shirt, the scent of cedar lingering like a talisman. Theo drove them north on Highway 101, the Bay Bridge receding like a silver thread snapped. Napa's hills rolled out, golden in the October light. The Vineyard Estate, a sprawling jewel of terracotta roofs and infinity pools overlooking mist-shrouded valleys. The family gathered in the great room, walls lined with photos of Elena's christenings, Victor's awards. None of Alex. Isabella sat ramrod straight, her eyes red-rimmed. Victor paced, a caged lion. Elena, still in her rumpled gown, held court from the leather sofa, Marcus at her side. You owe him everything, Elena began. No preamble. The vines? Alex knows them better than any of us. He pruned them at dawn while we slept. The empire? Built on his silence. Isabella's voice cracked. I was young, scared. The scandal would have ruined us. And it didn't, Alex said softly, his first words in the circle. But it ruined me. He stepped forward, Theo a silent sentinel at his elbow. I served because I loved you all. But love isn't servitude. Victor's shoulders slumped, the patriarch crumbling. I was wrong. About the affair. About you. The pause hung heavy. When you told me you were gay, I saw my failures reflected. I couldn't face it. Theo's hand found Alex's, a quiet anchor. Facing it is the start. Hours blurred into raw confessions. Isabella's guilt, Victor's regrets, Elena's quiet vigils outside Alex's door as a child, slipping him books. By noon, papers were drawn, legal recognition of Alex as heir, shares in the winery, a voice on the board. It wasn't absolution, but it was amends, the first pour of a new vintage. As they toured the vines, Theo, trailing with a camera Elena had thrust at him, document this for the real family album. Alex plucked a cluster of grapes, juice bursting sweet on his tongue. This place was my prison, he told Theo later, under an ancient oak. Now it's home. Theo kissed him slow, the sun dipping low. Home's wherever you are. Weeks turned to months, the wedding scandal fading into Napa gossip, replaced by whispers of the Rivera brothers' collaboration. Alex's organic farming innovations boosting yields, Theo consulting on sustainable practices pro bono. Elena's first vintage bore a label etched with Roots Unearthed, a nod to truths laid bare. But romance deepened in stolen weekends. Theo flying Alex to Seattle for oyster feasts on Pike Place, Alex surprising him with vineyard picnics under starlit skies. One spring evening, as cherry blossoms dusted the estate's lawns, Theo knelt in the rose garden, a simple band glinting, white gold, etched with vines. "Marry me, Alex. Let's make our own family unbreakable." Tears stung, joy fierce as the hook that had snared him that fateful night. "Yes," Alex breathed, pulling Theo up into a kiss that tasted of forever. The wedding was small, Castro Street alive with pride flags fluttering like blessings. Elena walked Alex down the aisle, Victor and Isabella in the front row, their presence a mended thread. Vows echoed simple truths. "I choose you," every hidden part. As rings slid on, Alex glanced at the guests, queer friend from Alex's Oakland days, Theo's activist circle, and felt the weight lift fully. In the years that followed, the Rivera empire flourished, but so did their hearts. Alex and Theo adopted a son from the foster system, a boy with wide eyes and a laugh like bells, teaching him that family wasn't blood, but the hands that held you through storms. Elena's children called Alex Theo Verdad, Uncle Truth, and vineyard tours ended with stories of the waiter who became king. One October Eve, years later, as fog rolled over the bay like a fond memory, Alex and Theo stood on the Fairmont balcony, glasses of that first unearthed vintage raised. To hooks that catch and releases that free, Theo toasted. Alex clinked, his heart full, to the real sons and the loves that called him home. The fog clung to San Francisco's hills like a lover reluctant to let go, mirroring the way Alex Rivera held onto Theo Langford's hand as they navigated the Castro's vibrant streets post-wedding. It was their wedding now, a modest affair in a converted warehouse strung with Edison bulbs and wildflowers from Napa's untamed edges. But the echoes of that night at the Fairmont lingered, a scar turned star. Their son, Mateo, toddled between them, 5 years old with Theo's blue-gray eyes and Alex's unruly curls, clutching a balloon that bobbed like a heartbeat. "Look, Poppy, rainbow," Mateo pointed at the crosswalk, its colors vivid even in the dusk. Alex scooped him up, inhaling the scent of peanut butter and earth from their afternoon park romp. "Just like you, me soul." Theo watched, his smile soft, the lines around his eyes deeper now from late-night case files and midnight feedings, but no less magnetic. They'd built this life brick by queer brick, Alex spearheading the winery's expansion into LGBTQ+ inclusive events, pride tastings that drew crowd from the city, funding scholarships for out youth in the valley. Theo's firm had taken on the Rivera account pro bono, weaving legal protections into the family trust that ensured Alex's legacy couldn't be erased again. Victor, grayer and humbler, had even marched in his first Pride parade last June, arm in arm with Isabella, who volunteered at the local center, her pearls traded for protest pins. But peace, Alex had learned, was a vine that required constant tending. Tonight, as they ducked into their favorite taqueria, neon sign buzzing La Familia, a shadow crossed the threshold. Javier Morales, broader now at 32, his once youthful face etched with the wear of migrant farm work turned union organizing. Alex's first love, the vineyard hand whose kiss had cracked open his world and invited the storm. "Alex." Javier's voice was gravel and ghost, his eyes flicking to Theo, then Mateo. "Heard about the wedding. Congrats." Theo's grip tightened subtly, not possessive, but present, a reminder of battles won. Alex nodded, pulse quickening. "Javier, been a while. Coffee." They stepped outside, the fog muting the street's hum. Mateo napped in Theo's arms inside, safe. "I saw the news last year," Javier said, leaning against the muraled wall depicting Aztec warriors in rainbow headdresses. "Your coming out story went viral, the waiter heir. Inspire me to run for local council. Fighting for folks like us in the fields." Pride swelled, mingled with the old ache. "You were my first fight, you know, that summer. You showed me I wasn't alone." Javier's laugh was bittersweet. "And I ran when it got real. Your old man threatened deportation. Coward move. He paused, eyes earnest. But seeing you now, family, love, legacy, makes me believe in second chances. They talked until the taqueria's lights dimmed, stories spilling like overripe grapes. Javier's wife, a fierce teacher from Oaxaca. Their daughter, a soccer prodigy. The union he'd built, echoing Alex's own reclamations. No sparks reignited, just embers honored, a chapter closed with grace. Theo emerged then, Mateo yawning on his shoulder. Everything okay? His voice held no jealousy, only the quiet strength that had anchored Alex through boardroom battles and bedtime stories. More than, Alex replied, pulling them both close. As they walked home to their Victorian row house, rainbow flag fluttering from the stoop, Alex felt the threads weave tighter. Dawn broke over Napa with a vengeance, the estate's bell tower chiming like an alarm. Alex stirred in the king bed of the main house, now his and Theo's guest suite during visits, Mateo's giggles filtering from downstairs. Elena had insisted on a family summit, her texts cryptic, vineyard crisis. Need the real sun. Down in the sun-drenched kitchen, coffee steamed alongside Elena's famous churros, dusted with cinnamon like autumn leaves. Victor sat at the oak table, maps unrolled, his face lined with worry. Isabella hovered, pouring mugs with trembling hands. Marcus bounced their toddler on his knee, the next generation oblivious to the stakes. Phylloxera, Victor grunted, jabbing the map. The root louse, a vine killer that had ravaged Europe a century ago, now threatening their oldest blocks. Scouts confirmed it yesterday. If it spreads, we're done. Alex traced the infected rows, heart sinking. These were the vines Maria had planted, the ones he'd whispered secrets to as a boy. We go organic, predatory nematodes cover crops. I've been trialing it on the east slope. Elena's eyes lit. That's why we need you. Papa's stuck on chemicals. It's poisoning the soil, the brand. Debate ignited, voices overlapping in the familiar rhythm of Rivera's at war. Theo mediated, his lawyers calm, slicing through. Let's model it. Projections on yield loss versus recovery time. Isabella, surprisingly, backed Alex. He's always known the land's soul. By lunch, a plan coalesced. Alex leading the salvage, Theo drafting investor pitches to fund the shift. Victor clapped Alex's shoulder, awkward but genuine. You're the vintner I should have raised. The words landed like rain on parched earth. As crews mobilized, Alex and Theo worked side by side in the dirt, sleeves rolled, hands filthy with promise. Mateo helped, scattering ladybugs like confetti. Evenings ended in the barrel room, tasting trials by lantern light, Theo's foot hooking Alex's under the table, a silent vow amid the oak's hush. But Kitchtin brewed beyond the blight. A rival winery, the Hale's old associates turned competitors, leaked rumors. Rivera, heirs of fraud, stole the throne via scandal. Tabloids pounced, dredging the wedding expose, twisting it into queer conspiracy crush's family fortune. Theo's phone exploded with alerts during a late-night strategy session. They're suing for defamation, claiming we fabricated the heir story to dodge debts. Alex's blood ran cold. It's bullshit. The birth records. Buried with the old lies, Theo finished, pacing. We fight, but it'll drag everything up. You're coming out the affair. Mateo. Elena's voice cut in via video. Screw them. We go public. Full transparency. Press conference tomorrow. Dawn brought reporters to the estate gates, cameras flashing like lightning. Alex stood at the podium, Theo's hand hidden, but steady at his back, family flanking him. I'm Alex Rivera, firstborn son, gay man, father, vintner. We didn't steal anything, we reclaimed it. And we'll save these vines the same way. With truth, not toxins. The speech went viral, not for scandal, but solidarity, queer influencers amplifying, Napa locals rallying with volunteer hours. The lawsuit crumbled under public scrutiny, the rivals exposed for their own embezzlements. In the aftermath, as the vines greened, Alex proposed a new label, Veritas Roots, Latin for truth, with a portion of proceeds to LGBTQ plus farm worker aid. Javier headlined the launch, his counsel bid buoyed by the buzz. One fog-kissed morning, Alex found Theo in the guesthouse attic. Once his prison, now a nursery expansion, sorting Maria's letters, yellowed but unbroken. She'd be proud. Theo said, pulling Alex in his lap on the floorboards. She is. Alex kissed him, slow and deep, the past folding into future. Mateo burst in, demanding story time, and they obliged. Tales of waiters turned warriors, fog that hid and revealed. Summer scorched Napa's valleys, turning the air to a shimmering haze that blurred the line between earth and sky. Alex wiped sweat from his brow, the sun a relentless judge on the trellis rows where Veritas roots had taken root. Literally, the new hybrid grapes thriving against the phylloxera scars. Mateo, now 6 and full of boundless energy, raced between the stakes, his laughter a balm against the heat. "Catch me, Theo," he yelled, though Theo was knee-deep in soil samples, his button-down discarded, tattoos of justice scales inked across his ribs gleaming with perspiration. Theo scooped Mateo up, spinning him until squeals echoed off the hills. "You're faster than a lawsuit, kiddo." Alex watched from the shade of an olive tree, chest height with a love so vast it scared him sometimes. 8 years since that shattering wedding night, and still, Theo's grin could unravel him. But Idol's fractured. Elena called from the main house, her voice taut. "Board meeting. Investors pulling out. Say that queer branding scares off conservatives." The words landed like drought. The great room thrummed with tension, mahogany table strewn with financials. Victor drummed fingers, Isabella silent as stone. Marcus scrolled emails, Elena's jaw set. "It's the old guard," she spat, whining about family values while lining their pockets. Alex leaned forward, charts in hand. "Sales are up 40% in urban markets. San Francisco, LA. The Pride line's a hit. We pivot, double down on storytelling events. Invite them to tastings, show the heart." Murmurs rose, but Victor nodded slowly. "Your call, son." The title, once poison, now tasted like vintage. Theo, ever the strategist, mapped the counteroffensive, targeted ads on X, partnerships with queer creators, turned fear into fable. "They're betting on silence. We bet on stories." Weeks blurred into a whirlwind, pop-up events in the Castro, where Alex poured flights alongside drag queens narrating Vine lore. Seattle collaborations with Theo's nonprofit, funding safe houses for rural LGBTQ+ youth. Mateo tagged along when he could, charming donors with his bilingual banter. Salute a la Verdad. Yet beneath the momentum, cracks spiderwebbed. Theo's cases piled up, a class action for trans farm workers exposed to pesticides, pulling him north for depositions. Nights alone in their estate cottage, Alex paced, the silence amplifying ghosts. One such evening, rain lashing the windows like accusations, Victor knocked. "Mind a talk." They sat on the porch, whiskey neat, Victor's vintage, Alex's pour. "I failed you," Victor began, voice gravel. "The affair was weakness, but hiding you? Cowardice. And when you came out, I saw my own hypocrisies staring back. Isabella and I, we worked through counseling. She's volunteering now, you know." Alex sipped, the burn steadying. "It helps. But scars don't fade, they vine." Victor chuckled, wry. "Poetic, like your labels." A pause, heavy. "I'm proud, Alex. Of the man, not just the air." The dam broke then, words tumbling. Victor's youth in the fields, his father's rages, the affair born of loneliness. Forgiveness wasn't a floodgate, but a trickle, watering dry ground. Theo returned at midnight, drenched, case one, but exhaustion etched deep. Alex drew him a bath, hands gentle on knotted shoulders. "Missed you," Theo murmured, pulling Alex in, water sloshing. Their lovemaking was slow, reverent, fingers tracing tattoos, lips mapping freckles, bodies remembering what words forgot. Afterward, curled in sheets scented with lavender soap, Theo confessed, "The cases. They're saving others, but draining me. What if I joined the winery full-time? Advocacy through AG." Alex's heart soared, then stuttered. "We'd build it together. But promise me balance. For us, for Mateo." Dawn sealed it with coffee and contracts, Theo's firm transitioning him to consultant. The board embraced the shift, Veritas Roots expanding into a foundation. Grants for queer-owned farms, mentorships for out youth in viticulture. Elena's pregnancy announcement lit the family like fireworks. Twins, a boy and girl, due in winter. Auntie Alex duties start now. She teased at the barbecue. where Javier and his family grilled alongside Marcus's vegan skewers. Mateo idolized Javier's daughter, the two plotting vineyard adventures with sticks as swords. But Kitch Tin shadowed joy. A storm hit hard, literal, gales uprooting young grafts, flooding cellars. Alex rallied crews at dawn, waiters sucking in mud, Theo hauling sandbags with the ferocity of a man defending home. Lightning cracked, illuminating faces, Victor directing pumps, Isabella ferrying hot coffee, Elena on her phone coordinating aid. Mid-fray, a beam buckled in the aging barn, trapping two workers, Javier among them. Alex dove in without thought, Theo shouting his name. Dust choked the air, timbers groaning like beasts. Javier, hold on. Alex crawled, hands bloodied on splinters, Theo behind with a pry bar scavenged from a truck. They hauled him out, coughing, bruised but breathing. "Oh, you twice now," Javier rasped, clapping Alex's back as sirens wailed. The cleanup forged them tighter, insurance claims morphing into upgrades, solar-powered cellars, resilient rootstocks. At the Harvest Festival, under paper lanterns strung like stars, Alex raised a glass. To storms that strengthen. Theo pulled him aside into the moonlit arbor, and loves that weather them. Their kiss tasted of earth and eternity, Mateo's distant laughter the soundtrack. Winter blanketed the valley in rare snow, the estate a wonderland of frosted vines. Elena's twins arrived on a blizzard night, Luca and Sophia, squalling bundles wrapped in rainbow blankets. Alex held them first, after Elena. "Your turn to be the big brother you always were." Theo and Alex brought Mateo to meet them, his awe palpable. They're tiny, like grapes before squish. The family photo that day, all of them, from Victor's lined face to Isabella's tentative smile, hung in the great room, a testament. Yet, as spring thawed, a letter arrived. Theo's estranged sister, Lila, from Seattle. "Saw your story. Mom's dying. Wants to see the son she lost." Theo's face crumpled, the old wound reopening. They flew north, Mateo in tow, the Olympics, evergreens as somber guard. Lila met them at the hospital, older, softer. She regrets everything. In the sterile room, Theo's mother, frail in her bed, reached out. "Forgive me," her voice a rasp. "How nen let Thea filing Ido for me." Alex held space, hand on his back, Mateo coloring quietly nearby. It wasn't fairy tale mending, but a suture pulling edges together. Back in Napa, blooms burst, Veritas fields a riot of green. Alex surprised Theo with a tattoo session in the city, matching vines encircling their wedding bands, roots intertwining. "Our story," Alex said as the needle hummed. Theo's eyes shone, unbreakable. The summer solstice sun hung low over the Pacific, painting the horizon in strokes of amber and indigo as Alex and Theo crested the cliffside trail in Big Sur. Mateo, 8 now and leggy as a colt, scampered ahead, his backpack bouncing with trail mix and a dog-eared copy of the house on Mango Street. "Race you to the overlook," he challenged, his voice carrying on the salt-laced wind. Theo grinned, shedding his pack. "You're on, Sprout." Alex watched them bolt, Theo's laughter mingling with Mateo's whoops, the slightest salve to the undercurrent of unease that had shadowed their drive down Highway 1. The winery thrived, Veritas roots a beacon for sustainable queer AG, exports to Europe buzzing. But Theo's mood had frayed, late nights poring over emails from Lila. Their mother's health stabilizing, but family tensions simmering, old slurs resurfacing in whispers. At the cliff's edge, waves crashed below like applause. Mateo flung arms wide. "I'm a superhero." Theo scooped him, noogies ensuing. Alex joined, sandwiching their son in a hug. The three of them a nod against the vastness. "Best heroes ever," he murmured, kissing Theo's temple, tasting salt and sunblock. They camped that night under a canopy of redwoods, fire crackling stories from the flames. Mateo's school play, he as a vine-slaying knight. Elena's twins, terrible twos. Victor's latest hobby, beekeeping, of all things his hives humming apologies and honey. But as Mateo snored in his tent, Theo's voice dropped. Lila called again. "Dad wants to meet, says he's changed. Part of me wants to believe it." Alex laced fingers with his. You don't have to. But if you do, we're your armor. Theo's exhale was a gust. What did I do to deserve you? Lucked out at a wedding, Alex teased, pulling him close. Their lovemaking was urgent, the forest a cocoon, bodies slick with dew, breaths sinking like tides. Dawn brought decisions, a trip north post-solstice. Seattle welcomed them with drizzle and dim sum. Lila's apartment, a cozy chaos of books and board games. Theo's father, grizzled and gruff, waited in the living room, hands twisting a mariner's cap. Son, one word, Layden. Theo stood tall, Alex at his flank, Mateo peeking from behind. Dad. The air thickened, then cracked. Apologies tumbling, admissions of bigotry born of fear, a plea for scraps of time. No miracles, but a meal shared, awkward laughs over foe. Mateo, charming with card tricks. Driving home, Theo squeezed Alex's thigh. It hurt less than I thought. Thanks to you. Alex smiled, the coastal road unfurling. Teamwork. Back in Napa, harvest fever gripped the estate. Luca and Sophia, wildlings at 3, helped by stomping grapes in the crusher, purple-footed imps under Elena's watchful eye. The family crush party swelled. Javier's union crew, queer winemakers from Sonoma, locals with coolers of craft beer. Victor manned the grill, his beeswax candles flickering on tables laden with tamales and charcuterie. Mid-revelry, a courier arrived. Legal papers from the rival winery, long defunct but their estate auctioned. You bid? Elena asked, eyes gleaming. Alex nodded, Theo's input on the fine print. Prime terroir for expansion. Queer co-op space. The gavel fell in their favor, the land reborn as Haven Vines, a collective for marginalized growers, trans folks from the Central Valley, immigrant families like Maria's once was. Opening day drew crowds, rainbow ribbons tying the gates, speeches soaring on hope. But Kitchton struck swift. A wildfire sparked in the hills, embers leaping like accusations. Evacuations blared, the sky choking orange. Alex loaded the truck, family photos, Mateo's bear, Theo's case files, while Victor herded livestock, Isabella bundling seedlings. Elena and Marcus ferried the twins to safety, but as flames licked the ridge, a spark jumped the road, trapping the vintage barn. Theo grabbed the hose, Alex the extinguisher, but the inferno roared. Get out! Victor bellowed, but Alex charged in irreplaceable barrels of Veritas 25, the twins' birth vintage. Smoke clawed his lungs, heat blistering. Theo yanked him back as the roof caved. Victor's arm singed in the pull. Sirens wailed victory. The main house spared, but the loss carved deep. In the hotel lobby that night, family huddled, tears tallies of damage. Insurance covers structures, Marcus said, but the wine. We rebuild, Alex declared, voice raw. Stronger varietals, fire breaks. And the 25? We bottle the story, resilience reserve. Theo bandaged Victor's arm, his touch steady. You're all insane. Bravely so. Reconstruction became ritual. Community barbecues funding crews. Mateo designing logos with crayons. The fire-scarred tissue toughened the soil, yields rebounding fiercer. At the reserve release, under a sky scrubbed clean, Alex toasted, to ashes that fertilize. Theo whispered later, in their rebuilt cottage, and loves that endure the burn. Fall deepened, leaves turning the valley to flame. Mateo's school project, a diorama of the waiter heir tale, earned A's in awe, his teacher gushing at parent night. He speaks of you too like legends. Homeward, rain pattering the windshield, Theo mused, legends need sequels. Another kid, Alex's heart flipped. Surrogacy? Adoption round 2. They dove in paperwork a labyrinth but hoped to guide. Months yielded a match. A baby girl, born in Oakland to a young mom, choosing open adoption. Lila, of all people, facilitated her way into the fold. Naming her Aria, Song of the Vines. They brought her home to a nursery painted in sunset hues. Mateo, dubbing himself Big Bro Boss. Sleepless nights bonded them deeper. Theo's lullabies a melody Alex never tired of. Elena's expansion plans intertwined. A bed and breakfast on Haven land, queer-friendly retreats with Theo leading workshops on rights in rural spaces. Victor, ever evolving, apprenticed under a sommelier, his palate sharpening for the subtle notes of redemption. One crisp November eve, as Arya cooed in her swing, Alex found Theo on the porch, staring at stars. "Penny for him." Theo pulled him down, grateful. From that wedding glance to this, us, unbreakable. Their kiss unfolded slow, the night wrapping them gentle. Inside, family breathed, Victor reading to the grandkids, Isabella knitting booties, Elena and Marcus plotting holidays. Winter's grip loosened on Napa, tentative buds pushing through frost-kissed soil like hesitant promises. Alex Rivera balanced Arya on his hip, her chubby fists tangling in his hair, while Mateo, 10 and all elbows and opinions, quizzed Theo on constitutional law over pancakes. "So, if the president says no to rainbows, we sue?" Mateo's fork waved like a gavel. Theo chuckled, flipping a flapjack. "Exactly, kid. Equality's not optional. It's article whatever we make it." The kitchen thrummed with domestic symphony, coffee percolating Arya's gurgles, the radio crooning Norah Jones. 9 years woven from that fateful clink of glasses, and their tapestry held, frayed edges mended with threadbare grace. Veritas roots had burgeoned into a network. Haven Vines, a haven indeed. Co-op shares sold out, residencies for artists chronicling queer rural lives. Elena's B&B, unveiled vistas, booked solid with couples seeking solace in the hills. But Dawn's peace shattered with a knock. Federal agents, badges glinting like judgments. "Mr. Rivera? Investigation into labor violations at your facilities." The words hung, accusatory. Theo's face hardened, lawyer mode snapping on. "On what grounds?" "We've audited quarterly, fair wage, no discrimination." The lead agent, a stone-faced woman with a Midwest twang, handed papers. "Anonymous tip. Undocumented workers, unsafe conditions. Post-fire rebuild allegedly cut corners." Alex's stomach knotted. The fire. Had desperation bred oversights? He scanned the docket. Names familiar. Javier's union flagged. "This is retaliation," he breathed. Rival holdouts, or worse, internal sabotage. Family mobilized. Elena lawyering up with Theo, Victor combing records, Isabella minding the little ones. Mateo, sensing storm, drew superhero shields for the fridge. As agents toured the sites, Alex walked the rows with Javier, the air thick with unspoken. "It's bullshit," Javier growled, kicking dirt. But whispers say someone inside tipped, resentful about the queer focus, maybe. The probe dragged weeks, headlines twisting. Wine empire's dirty roots. Protests erupted, supporters at the gates with signs, truth over tyranny. Detractors jeering, fake family fraud. Theo burned midnight oil, depositions a gauntlet. One night, collapsing into bed, he muttered, "They're gunning for us because we shine. Can't let it dim." Alex held him fierce. "We won't." Their intimacy that night was defiant. Bodies claiming space, breaths defying doubt. Breakthrough came mid-interview. A whistleblower recanted, email trail leading to a disgruntled Exhale exec, grudge-fueled forgery. Charges dropped, but scars lingered, reputational, relational. Javier's trust fractured, requiring town halls to rebuild. In the quiet after, Alex proposed therapy for the family, a circle under the oak. Victor went first, voice cracking on buried shames. Isabella followed, unraveling the armor of silence. Elena confessed wedding doubts. Marcus his imposter fears. Theo unpacked parental phantoms. Alex the waiter's invisibility. Even the kids joined, Mateo articulating, "Scared of losing my heroes." Healing hummed subtle, like yeast and must. Spring bloomed defiant, Veritas launching Integrity QV, proceeds to worker rights orgs. The vintage sold out, a phoenix pour. Elena's twins turned 5, a party sprawling the estate. Pinatas bursting candy rain, a bounce house echoing with glee. Arya took her first steps toward Mateo, who cheered like she'd summit Everest. Theo captured all, his camera a time thief. Post-party, as dusk draped the vines, Alex found Victor by the hives, smoke wisping calm. "Bees teach patience," Victor said. "Queen rules, but workers make the honey." Alex nodded. "Like us." A hug followed, brief, bearish. Progress, pixel by pixel. Summer hummed heat, Arya toddling terror, her babbles a bilingual babble. Theo's book deal landed. Vines of Valor, Queer Justice in the Fields, Ghostrin Weekends, Alex editing with red pen and red wine. Kitch tin flickered anew. A stalker, unhinged from the probe fallout, letters escalating to vineyard trespass. Security tightened, but fear coiled. Theo insisting on escorts, Alex waking to shadows. The break. Lila, visiting with care packages, spotted the pattern. Sounds like my ex, obsessive type. Her network traced it to a tabloid stringer, hungry for scandal. Police nipped it, restraining order swift. In the exhale, they escaped to Big Sur again, Arya strapped to Theo's chest, Mateo, scouting tide pools. Around the campfire, stories swirled. Lila sharing her own coming-out saga, a bridge to Theo's past. Family's chosen, too, she toasted, marshmallows gooey. Alex clinked and groaned. Fall harvest crown triumphs, record yields, awards for sustainability. Mateo's essay on My Two Dads and the Magic Vines won Regional Youth Prize, read aloud at the gala, tears flowing freer than the 30 reserve. One leaf-strewn afternoon, as Arya napped, Theo pulled Alex to the arbor. Remember our first kiss? Service corridor, jazz bleeding through. Like yesterday, Alex traced his jaw. Theo knelt, not with ring but resolve. Let's make another promise. No matter the storms, we root deeper. Alex hauled him up, kiss ceiling. Deal. Winter whispered in, holidays a hearth glow. Victor carving turkey, Isabella's tamales steaming, Elena's clan tumbling in chaos. Arya's first word, Papa, split to both, a dual devotion. As snow dusted rare, Alex reflected, from serving shadows to sowing light, the arc bent toward meaning. With Theo's arm around him, kids laughter the chorus, he knew. The real son wasn't born but claimed. The vernal equinox ushered Napa into a renaissance of green, vines unfurling like scrolls of scripture under Alex Rivera's watchful eye. 11 years since the wedding's watershed, and the estate pulsed with progeny. Mateo, 12, a budding coder with a penchant for poetry slams. Arya, 3, a whirlwind of words and whims. Elena's Luca and Sophia, 7, scheming scientists in training. The great house echoed with their din, a symphony supplanting silence. Veritas roots had metastasized into a movement. Satellite farms in Oregon's Willamette, partnerships with indigenous growers in Sonoma, Theo's book a bestseller fueling scholarships. Haven Vines hosted annual summits, global voices converging on queer AG equity. But equilibrium quivered. A call from Seattle, Theo's mother, worsening, requesting a final visit. Bring the family, Lila urged. She's ready to bless it all. They caravan north, the Volvo stuffed with car seats and carry-outs. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and azaleas. Theo's mom propped on pillows, her eyes clearer than memory allowed. Grandkids, she breathed. As Mateo and Arya approached shy, Luca and Sophia trailing flowers. Stories flowed halting. Her youth in the 70s, suffragette fire doused by convention. The rejection of panic, not principle. I was wrong, she whispered to Theo, hand frail on his. Love like yours, it's the bravest. Forgiveness flowered fragile. A bedside vow to visit post-recovery. Driving south, Theo wept quiet. Alex's hand his handkerchief. Closure's a gift, he said. For her, for us. Homecoming heralded harvest prep, but discord brewed. A board schism, conservative investors, Victor's old cronies, pushing to tone down the rainbow rhetoric for broader appeal. Stick to wine, not weddings. One sneer at the meeting. Elena's retort scorched. Our wine is the wedding of truth and tenacity. Alex mediated, charts as shields. Diversity drives dollars. Pride sales fund this table. Theo tabled a motion. Vote or divest. Benet slunk out, tails tucked. Triumph tempered by tempest. Luca, adventurous imp, tumbled from a trellis during play, arm fracturing like dry branch. The ER weight wove worry tight. Elena's tears hot as she held his hand. My fault, too busy with bids. Alex hugged her. Parenting's a vineyard. Storms hit, we graft stronger. Cass signed with Sharpies and stars. Luca dubbed Bravebone. Fall's fervor peaked at the summit. Javier keynoting on union wins. Lila debuting her memoir tie-in. Aria, flower-crowned, toddled the stage, stealing hearts. Post-event, a donor gala under tense aglow. Alex and Theo slow dance to At Last. Full circle, full hearts. Mid-spin, a whisper from Theo. Remember the hook? That glance. Every clink. Alex nuzzled his neck. Cyber trail led to a jilted ex-employee, radicalized online. Feds intervened, but the breach bled trust. Staff meetings mending morale. Mateo shielding Aria from screens. Reclamation ritual, a digital detox weekend at Haven, unplugged under oaks. Victor led stargazing. Isabella folktales, Elena yoga flows. Theo and Alex snuck to the creek, feet in current. Hacks can't touch this, Theo said, kissing knuckles. Nor us. Alex's reply, waters ripple. Winter wove warmth, holidays hybrid. Seattle for Theo's mom, now homebound, her table groaning with lax and love. Aria's hugs melted the last ice, Mateo jamming with Lila's guitar. Napa New Year's dawned crisp, resolutions recited over bubbly. Victor's listen more, Isabella's love louder. A surprise, Elena's expansion to a Napa Pride Center, Alex and Theo co-directing. Spring sprouted scandals anew. A journalist sniffing for the real story behind the air, doorstepping Victor. Affair details? Gay agenda. Theo fielded, fierce. Our story's public, by the book. The piece published puff, not poison, crediting resilience. Mateo's bar, mitzvah, blended tradition. Theo's heritage, drew crowds to the synagogue, then vineyard feast. His speech soared, my dad's taught me roots run deep, branches wide. From waiter's tray to world stage, truth tables all. Tears toasted, Aria, clinking sippy cup. Summer solstice circled back, Big Sur beckoning. Aria chased waves, Mateo surf lessons, Theo and Alex hiked alone at dusk. 11 years, Theo mused, cresting the cliff. Feels like the first. Alex pulled him close, horizon swallowing sun. And the forever. Fall harvest hummed harmony, yields bountiful. Aria's preschool art, viney rainbows, adorn labels. Luca and Sophia's science fair win. Bee-friendly vines, Victor beaming paternal. One equinox eve, as leaves gilded, Alex gathered family under the oak. Weave-weathered weddings, wildfires, whispers. Here's to the roots that hold. Theo raised glass, eyes locked. And the loves that bloom. Autumn's palette deepened in Napa. Golds and crimsons carpeting the valleys like a tapestry threaded with time. 13 years etched into Alex Rivera's laugh lines. The silver at his temples a subtle salute to seasons savored. Mateo, 14, towered lanky, debating ethics in youth court. Aria, 5, a sprite with Theo's wit and Alex's gaze. The twins, 9, engineering empires from cardboard and code. The estate, once echo of exclusion, now nursery of noise. Joy's unchecked chorus. Veritas roots rippled global. Outposts in Mendoza, collaborations with Aboriginal vintners in Barossa. Theo's center thrived, retreats healing hearts from heartland hideaways. Elena's B&B evolved to Ecolodge, solar sails fluttering like flags of fortitude. Yet, cycle spun shadows. Victor's diagnosis dropped like frost. Early Parkinson's, hands trembling on the tiller. Just a hitch, he gruffed at the family huddle, but eyes betrayed the tremor. Isabella's resolve riveted. We adapt, like the vines. Therapy, trials, trellises redesigned for steadier grips. Alex took reins gentle, Victor mentoring from the porch, voice steady as ever. Theo's mom passed quiet that spring, Seattle service a mosaic of memory. Lila eulogizing, grandkids releasing butterflies. Theo's grief green tinged, growth in the ache, she saw us at the end. That's the win. Summer scorched, but solidarity shaded. A heat wave straining migrant crews, Javier coordinating cooling stations. Haven hosted hydrations. Aria handing waters with stay strong, cheers. Fall's forge tested temper. A merger offer from conglomerate. Big money, bigger reach. Board buzzed. Elena wary. They'll dilute the soul. Alex weighed. Theo advising. Core values or cash? Choose. The no resounded unanimous. Press praising principled poor. Harvest hoedown healed. Bonfires blazing. Bands belting. Luca and Sophia's drone light show spelling Veritas. Mateo, slow dance with a crush. First flutter. Alex and Theo exchanging proud glances. Winter whispered wonders. Aria's kindergarten concert, a cacophony of cuteness. Victor's symptoms slowed with stem cells, his bees booming bumper crop. Spring spark. Aria's adoption day, formalized open, her birth mom visiting annual. Two mamas, two papas, double lucky, she beamed, cake smeared cheek to chin. Elena's 10th anniversary, bash ballooned. Hot air rides over vines. Marcus's vows renewed midair. From silicon to soil, you're my circuit. Summer solstice sacred, Big Sur's sanctuary. Aria collected shells. Mateo journaled sunsets. Twins built forts. Theo and Alex crested the trail alone, hands clasped. 13, Theo breathed. Deeper than roots. Alex kissed palm. Vaster than skies. Fall frenzy. Aria's lost tooth fairy farce. Mateo's driver's permit jitters. Theo, white-knuckling shotgun. Victor taught him stick shift on backroads. Feel the land's pulse. The trial testified triumphs. Sustainable safeguards codified. Haven patrolling. Winter's weave. Holidays hybrid. Seattle snowmen with Lila's lot. Aria's nutcracker. Nutty. Luca's robotics ribbon. Spring surge. Mateo's prom. Suit sharp. Corsage for his beau. Alex tearing up tie adjusting. BU bolt. Theo's whisper. Our boy. Summer's simmer. Family flotilla on the Napa River. Kayaks careening comic. Aria's swim stroke strong. Twins tandem tipsy. Fall's finale. Veritas gala. Aria emceeing pint-sized. Mateo toasting to truths that tantalize. One harvest hush. Under moon-mantled arbor, Alex drew Theo close. From hook to harvest. Our epic. Theo's eyes starlit. And the encore eternal. Years layered lush. Vines venerable. Mateo college-bound. Majoring enology and equity. Aria auditioning arts. Voice velvet. Twins terraforming tiny plots. Victor cane carved from vine. Chronicled memoirs with Isabella's illustrations. Roots revealed. Theo's center canonized. UN nod for rural rights. Elena's empire eco-icon. Javier's council chambered. Anniversaries accumulated. 20th at the Fairmont. Full circle. Trey toasted. Elena toasting to the call out that crowned. Alex and Theo renewed under Chupavine. Family encircling. Aria scattering petals. Mateo strumming guitar. In twilight's tender, as fog fondled the bay, Alex reflected. Serve tables to sovereign sun, shadows to sun. The real legacy? Love's linked, legacies lived, humanity's humblest him.